Okay, I'd like to wish a very hello, good morning to everyone. I'm finally getting around to doing this uh, Patreon riff request video thing that I planted the seeds for like a month ago. So the idea is I'm going to be running through a list of riffs that I got from my Patreon patrons, and I'm going to do something somewhere in between a like reaction video and what I normally do, which is the in-depth analysis stuff. So kind of like listening to each of these riffs and thinking, if I were to make a full video about it, what angle would I take? What are kind of the beginnings of that? I think we'll see how long this takes. Yeah, doing those full videos, it's a lot of work. So it's not going to be quite as fancy as that. But I do want to do like a step up from just making faces at music, like, which that can be fun to watch, but I don't get the feeling that's why people watch my channel. So this is the list of things I'm gonna be talking about. There's like one specific riff from each of these songs, and yeah, we're gonna go in this order. It'll be fun. This first one, some of these I know pretty well. Some of these I've never heard. So it's a nice mix. So this first one, there was a question about what the snare is doing here. This is from one of Omar Lopez of the Mars Volta, one of his billion side projects, and one of my favorites of them. This is probably my second favorite of his side projects. My first favorite is Solar Gambling, which also has Jimena Sariñana, who's the singer, one of the singers on this. But yeah, I really dig this album. So let's listen and see what's going on with the snare. So it's in 4/4, and I'm kind of like pretending to figure this out, but I know the song kind of well. So it's in 4/4. Let's maybe tune into that. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. And the weird thing though is that, so normally when we have 4/4, we have something like this, where we have kick, snare, with a snare on 2 and 4. And what's happening here is they're kind of, I think this is Thomas Pridgeon, but the typical thing would be to have the snare on 2 and 4, but instead what's happening is it's dancing around 2 and 4 a little bit. So let's figure out exactly what beats that's on. Dun, 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 dun. So roughly, and I'm probably not going to get all the kick hits here, but this is going to be one, two, three, ta, and then maybe we'll call this and then maybe I think this is kind of like this. So we have, instead of landing on the beat, we get the snare a 16th note early, and then an 8th note late, instead of landing right on beat 2. And then in the second half of the measure, it lands right on beat 4. Let me just double check this. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. So it's like in this first half, we have this trio thing, this 3 plus 3 plus 2, and the second half it's 4 plus 4. And then there are some other, that's the skeleton of it. There are some other, there are more kicks in there, but this is where the main things are landing. Yeah, and I think there's a little different pattern a little later. Yeah, not the same pattern, but it's the same idea. So it's still in 4/4, but with a snare kind of dancing around. This is kind of a very funk groove type deal, type thing where you have there's kind of like something happening on every single 16th note, and but they're all these like little micro patterns, and it kind of shifts back and forth, and it's early and it's late, but it's all very much on this 16th note grid, and playing around and against that expectation that we have that the snare is going to be on beats 2 and 4. All right, I don't want to spend a million years on each of these, so let's move on. Next one is going to be this Reductio ad Absurdum. This is one that I hadn't heard from the album Reductio ad Absurdum by this band Instrumental Adjective. Very cool stuff. The part in question in particular was this riff at 25 seconds. I just listened to this like once beforehand. But yeah, let's see what's going on here. Yeah, there's more going on, and this person asked for several of these, but I think I'm just gonna, for today, just gonna do that one little section there. So there's rhythmic weird stuff. Let's get that first, because that's what I'm fastest at. Yeah, so it's kind of in this first little bit, that's what it's like, 1s and 2s. Let's should we go into this? Yeah, let's do it. Got a little bit of time today. So it's something like this. So that first little bit, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 2, right? So boom down, 1, 2, bo da 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 da. And then what's next? Dun, 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 dun. And then I think it's the same thing again. Or maybe it's shorter. Gotta listen lots of times. Yeah. Da, da, da. And then there's this triplet thing. How should I do that? Kind of ugly, but get the idea. Or maybe you don't, but I'm gonna try and make it so you get the idea of what these numbers mean. 1, 2, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2. And then we have 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 2, I think. And then 1, da 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 da, and then that little flourish. Sorry, another 2 there before the flourish, and then 1, and then how many notes are in that little flourish? Ba-da-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da. There are 11 of them, 11 16th notes, I think. I'm normally, if I was gonna like really sit down and try and get all the nuances of this, I would slow this down. I'd put it in transcribe, which if you're a patron, I had last month I had a long video that was just like me transcribing car bomb in real time and going through all the little tricks I have for hearing these things that are tricky. But this is kind of as a challenge to myself. I'm trying to do this without slowing it down, just for fun. All right, let's see how this holds up. And then, okay, I think that's all right. Almost there. Dun, 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 and then that's good. That's the end of the, or I don't know what what symbol I want to use there. I'll say that's the end of it. Yeah, so let's so slowly it's like 1 2 1 2 1 dun dun. So the 2s, all that means is that it's twice as long as the 1. And then we have a few of these other note values in here. So the triplet thing, but da da da. So that's three notes in the space of what would have been four of these. You know, we could call it eighth notes or quarter notes. It depends on how you're gonna want to notate it. So yeah. There's the rhythmic skeleton. Yeah, so it's boom bam boom bam boom bam bam boom bam boom bam boom bam bam boom bam 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 boom bam boom bam boom bam bam boom bam boom bam boom bam da 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 dum bam boom bam bam boom bam boom bam bam boom bam 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 boom bam 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 bam. More or less. Let's see if that's. Let's check it one more time with this. Yeah, so real quick, like if I were gonna put this in here, so we're gonna do 3/8, and I'll say dum ba dum ba da da, and this one is 5/8. Dum, bum, bum. So this is 1 2 1 2 1 2 2, and pretty sure it's this, and then back, and the rest of it is stuff that I've already done. So just in case it was unclear what it means, what those numbers mean. So yeah, I guess I'll talk about harmony real quick. It sounds kind of like it's a whole tone thing. Yeah. Yeah, it has this like whole tone-y flavor, especially this next part. So that's when you have all whole steps between the notes of the scale, and so you get these, especially these tritones, these minor sixths. I hit a wrong note in there, but yeah, that's kind of the flavor. But it's cool because there's a few layers, like on top, harmonically. Yeah. So there's like that high thing. Doing that major third thing up above everything. And maybe that's what I'm hearing mostly as the whole tone thing. Yeah, so whole tone scale, also major thirds are the big part. Has the augmented triad in it. So there's that, and then there's this cool contrast when it goes to that 11/16 flourish thing. Because that's very not whole tony. That's like a minor pentatonic, diatonic. So those are all kind of like various overlapping shades of the same thing. The scale. The kind of more familiar scale collection. So that's a cool contrast. It's kind of like this spacey whole tone thing, and then we have this really tight, focused 11/16 thing. I've already spent probably longer than I should be spending on each riff on this one. Otherwise, this video is going to be 3 hours long. So one other thing is we have this kind of loose expanding return pattern. So if you look here, we have one thing, so we can say that this is kind of like, I don't know, we'll say this is A, and then maybe this is kind of, or how should I do this? A, and then we have A with a second thing added on, and then we get A again, and then we get C, and then we get A, so I didn't break these up like this, and then A again, and then maybe we can say, oh, this is B, oh, look at this is nice, and then D, right? So if I split these up like this, we can see the whole thing overall, AAB, AC, AAB, D. So there's this idea that you have some static part. This is one of my big projects is finding all these examples of these in progressive metal, especially. So this A riff is the same each time, but it has kind of like a different ending. So we have one block that ends like this, another block that ends like this. Then we get kind of, even at a larger level, we get that same block as the first thing, right? That's the A, B is the same as that. And then we get D, yet another ending that goes on to the next section. Yeah, cool. Super cool EP. I don't really know anything about this, but I had a lot of fun listening to it, and I'm definitely going to listen to it some more. Some really fun soundscapes and stuff. All right, next riff. What do we do next? Night Terror, Jonathan Anderson. So in particular, looking at this part at 2. Sorry, gotta put this back over here. Looking at this part at 2:28. Super cool. I like, just like right off the bat, there's this like this really like cool articulation that's happening on these guitar notes. It sounds kind of like Tosin, like Animals Leaders, like thumping stuff, because like it's so, each note is so articulated. I don't know, this was another one that this was the only other one that I hadn't listened to before. And it's super like plucky, like plunky almost. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what the like studio thing is that's doing that. Let me listen to it again. Yeah, I think I apologies if the request was for a longer section than that, but I think I need to keep it super focused, short sections for right now. Yeah, so yeah, I like that thing. Let's dive in a little deeper. Let's see what's going on. So there's some sort of weird rhythmic thing. It's all on a grid, but it's I don't think there's a repeating thing, or if there is, it's long enough that I'm not like latching onto it right away. This is very much in this kind of minor world. Let's see if I can get some of this without slowing it down, which might be a tall order for me. All right, so I caved, and I'm gonna listen to this slow to try and speed this process along. Sometimes slow is fast. So I have this set up in Transcribe, which is this program I use. It looks like this. Basically just lets me quickly get to a lot of things that I normally use when I'm trying to transcribe. So here it is at full speed. Let's listen to it at half speed. So at least in the beginning, what's happening is it's so the kind of ascending thing is 5 16th notes, and then the descending thing is 4 16th notes and then 6 16th notes. So it's kind of this 9 16, 11 16 alternating thing. So I'm going to kind of mark that up on here. You'll notice that it'll be little tick marks across the top here. If I can get this right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. And then in that turnaround thing, it changes a little bit. So this is like, what is it? Let me figure out what the notes are. So it's that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then, or that's the first one. Second one is this. And the second one is this. So basically it's alternating back and forth between this C sharp major chord and F sharp minor chord, or arpeggios, both of them. The first one is 5 plus 4, second one is 5 plus 6 16th notes. So the first one is kind of like this. And then the, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. And the second one is 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Like that. And then, so that happens 3 times, and then we get this turnaround. Let me try and figure out what the rhythm is here. Cool. So this turnaround changes. So the first, and so it's 2 chords, and the first one is 5 plus 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the second one is 5 plus 8, but there's kind of this break in the texture. So 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2. And then the whole band comes in. This is just like such ear candy. It sounds so nice. Yeah, let's get what those chords are there, and then call this a day. So the first chord of the turnaround is an E7 chord. And that's that 5 plus 6. 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then the second chord is what? So this sounds like it's just going to 1, so an A major chord. So we have this cadence in the major before we have that big walk down the big, going back to the F sharp minor. So what are the notes here? So just straightforward A major arpeggio starting on the E scalary 5. And then we have this is an A note, and then when everything comes back in together. Yeah, so the whole thing is, let's see, let's write this out, I guess. So different part of this, but we have first, I think it's 9/16, 11/16. First one is this. I guess we can, this is fully tonal, so we can put a key signature in. F sharp, minor, and this first one, it goes what, C sharp, G sharp, C sharp, and E sharp, yeah, and then the next one, and really if I'm being precise, which it's always good to be precise, this is 5 plus 4, no, not 54, 5 plus 4, so we're beaming it right, and this one is 5 plus 6, and there we go. Now these measures repeat exactly. What was this one? It goes D, B, D, G sharp, D, and then this higher B. And then this one is now 5 plus 8, so 5 plus 8 over 16, so 13/16. And this is the A major chord starting on E, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the high note just up to A, bo, do, do. What's the tempo of this? So that's like 130-ish. Tempo, quarter note equals 130. Yeah. So that's that. This is really fun. Guitar arpeggio stuff. It's always so much fun to listen to. It's really nicely produced. Big thanks for sharing this with me. Cool. What's next? Here comes Yowie. So yeah, let's check this out. And I'm really gonna have to, I'm not gonna be able to spend that much time on each of the rest of these. I apologize. But hopefully I'll have something fun to say about them. I'm just having fun. Yeah, this is super weird. I think so there's kind of like this mathcore stuff going on, the like fragmenting the little parts, which is something we kind of talked about in the Reductio ad Absurdum a little bit ago. But yeah, this the thing that really gets me, I mean, like, it's dissonant, obviously. But what really gets me is it's so clean and it's so quiet. It's like they have the guitar knob turned down like all the way with like no gain. It's such a like disgusting guitar tone to have on top of this this dissonant stuff. But at the same time, it's like it's so bouncy and kind of fun. Let's listen to it again. Yeah, that's what a way to start a song. And so there's like three little sections even within just these first 30 seconds, right? There's the first one, which is a or whatever the rhythm is. So it's this kind of area, and that gets played with. And this part, and again, they're adding in some tracking from each thing. And then this next thing, or no, this, and then the third thing is this thing, which is kind of similar to the first part, but I don't think it's the same. Yeah, and there's I wouldn't be surprised if there's I mean, I can hear there's some like, if it's not like, it's not microtonal in the sense of like there's a stable tuning system other than 12-tone eagle temperament, I don't think, but they are bending in and out of a lot of these, which just makes it even more crunchy and yeah, and I mean this in the best way, and the person who submitted this, I think, meant it also in the best way. It's just like disgusting, but it's like playful and fun. Yeah, this would be a pain and a half to transcribe, because there's like a lot going on, and just like getting these pitches is you have to rely on. You just have to hear it. My atonal ear training is not nearly as good as my tonal ear training. I might be wrong about this, but it sounds like there's a lot of harmonizing things in parallel major sevenths. So or whatever. I mean, that's not it, but it's like chromatic stuff that's also, so it's like horizontally the lines are moving chromatically, but then also vertically they're stacked chromatically but displaced by an octave, which is super dissonant, especially with this really clean tone where you can really hear what's happening. Like if I play this sort of stuff with full distortion, or like the that's a sound, right? That's a pretty standard mathcore thing. That's the Prancer thing. I forget what note it is, but it's kind of like defamiliarized because it's played so, they play it so clean, as in clean guitar tone, and it's so like quiet. Yeah, super cool. I need to go back to this album. I haven't listened to it in a long time. All right, on to the next one. This is from Imperial Triumphant, from their album from last year, which was my second favorite album of that year, after the Defeated Sanity album. So, yeah, last summer I was reading for my qualifying exams, and I had like 12,000 pages of reading to do over the summer, and then I write essays to show that I know it and read it. And I spent a lot of that time reading, listening to this album. So this is the section in question is this part. And the really weird thing about it is the tempo. It's like, what are the drums doing? They kind of start at this one tempo, and they speed up little by little, like slightly, and then they kind of reset back to the other tempo. And that's all happening under this like sentimental, romantic sounding, almost like obligato melody. There's your music history terminology for the day. Obligato is like this high counter melody line that you get in a lot of all sorts of stuff, often in opera arias. Yeah. Resets, getting faster. Yeah, and I think the cymbals even become kind of disoriented from the snare and the kick. It's like everything falls apart. It kind of sounds like what it sounds like when I try to play blast beats faster than I can, which is not very fast right now. Where everything kind of gets like keeps going, but it gets out of sync with all the other parts. Yeah, I'd be very interested to know how they recorded this. That's kind of always my question. It's like, did they have a click? Is that a sample? Is this something where they recorded it live and then they like overdubbed the singing and the strings or whatever, or vice versa? Yeah, and Imperial Triumphant is one of the bands that I would love to talk to for my dissertation research, which is going to involve talking to a lot of New York bands, hopefully a lot, definitely at least a few, because they do some really wacky things with tempo. It's kind of in the like context of the whole aesthetic of this album, as I understand it, it's like there's kind of there's, I mean, it's like it's this tension between things that are maybe traditionally marked as romantic, this like, and then also like the classic radio stuff. There's some of that, the barbershop, the like weird barbershop interludes and the string sections, and all of that, but like they're kind of like framing it in a way or combining it with other stuff in a way that it's kind of unsettling, which is kind of their whole like aesthetic thing for at least the last two albums, is this like the gross side of the luxury of New York, the gilded metropolis, and yeah, so super cool. I really dig this album, and Yeah, huge fan of Imperial Triumphant and of this riff. It kind of also, so I guess one other thing that I can do that's kind of fun is playing some other examples that this kind of reminds me of. One, and I'm not sure if I'm right about this, is this blast beat, which, if I'm correct, is another one where like the guitars are strictly in time, but the blast beat is kind of like not quite sticking with them, which is, yeah, let's see if I'm right. If I'm wrong, I'm just going to cut this out, so you won't even have to worry about it. So this isn't, it's not the same, but there's something like pretty loose about this backbeat. I feel like that is, or I mean this blast beat, where it's like right on the edge of falling off, and falling apart. And I think it's intentional. I think it's a really cool effect, and maybe like a tamer version of this Imperial Triumphant thing. Yeah. And then another thing this reminds me of a little is very different world. This, which is, so there's this kind of recurring thing where they slow down and then snap back to the original tempo.
Yeah, I said it. What you need to do is get back to reading credits. Read the medics alphabetically, stuck on that English shit. Now, before, that's your shop, your rock, okay, flow. From the top of the key for 3 villain.
So there's that kind of, and really there's a ton of classical music, mostly romantic music, mostly that does this tempo thing where you have a gradual ritardando, and but then it snaps back to that original tempo, which I think is like part of the effect of that Imperial Triumphant thing. It's kind of like straying away, and then it snaps back on again. And then one other thing, this is some of my own music from my first album, with that Florid Ecstasis project. This album is like, there's a whole lot going on, and a lot of it is a mess, but there are some cool ideas that I stand by. And one of them is doing this this non-aligning backbeat thing, which happens here, where the backbeat, like, it's just like a different tempo than the vocals and the guitar. Yeah, so same kind of idea. I think there's something really cool about like taking, because the blast beats are normally like a precision technique. They're like a showy thing like that, and I think there's something cool about kind of looking at the other side of it, where they're kind of washy and imprecise, and they're like a textural thing, which I talked about somewhere, I guess in the origin video, and probably somewhere else. I can't remember. I've done too many videos at this point. Yeah. So that is another great riff. So almost there. Next one, Unexpect. This is a band I really like. I haven't listened to in quite a while, so thank you for reminding me about them. I was really into this In a Flesh Aquarium album, I guess when it first came out. When did it come out? 2006? Yeah, like a little after I got into it. That was like early in my metalhead days. I'm not very old. But yeah, let's listen to the first little bit of this. this is such a, it's like so wild, so ahead of its time, it seems. So the big thing here is the genre mixing, right? So it's like you get metal, you get choral singing, you get that little saxophone for a second, you get, and it's all kind of packaged in this like carnival circus kind of framework, which I think is super cool. And it's also, it's changing so quickly that it's almost like you can't expect it. Like you unexpect what's going to happen next. So that is super cool. There's actually, someone has written an academic book chapter that has a little portion about Unexpect. So I'm going to throw that on the screen here, which you can pause and read my favorite paragraph from that if you want. And I'll put the citation for that in the description. But yeah, let me listen again and see what else is going on. So that was kind of another static and variable parts thing, where we have kind of two phrases, and then the second time we're going to get that violin thing taking us out into the next little area. Starts again. A violin thing. Sax. And then another area. So that phrase like or whatever. I would imagine it's kind of fun listening to me sing these things. They're funny at least. So I'm gonna keep doing it. Yeah, and then what happens next? And then kind of similar ending thing, that violin thing, but it's a little longer than the first time, and there's the saxophone thing gets drawn out some more. So that's an expanding return, if I've ever heard one. I forgot it has this like, that's the other thing, is like they have all these really catchy, like really cool parts in there too. So it's like you have this like really crazy musical surface where it's you're shifting genres literally like every second sometimes, or like signifiers of genres. This is all like experimental metal, but we're like pointing like, here's a jazz thing, here's a gypsy thing, here's a here's some piano that could be, a Chopin prelude, not in this one, but in the rest of the album. But they all like, they gel it all together sometimes in some of these sections that are just like really, really catchy, like this. So I think it's really cool also looking at like what specifically, and this is way more work than I'm going to be doing for this video, but I definitely, and I should have said this at the beginning, these are all like, they have the potential to also get like treatment as full riff analysis videos where I actually write a script and learn stuff and do some analysis and make diagrams and everything. But this one is definitely, there's a lot of really cool stuff to talk about here. about like how much of each, like what is imported from each genre, because like for some of them it seems like it's just the instrument sound, and for other ones it seems like it's maybe just like this kind of crazy out of tilt waltz pattern, but everything else is metal. And then for other ones it seems like we go into a whole section where you have this, like, I don't know if that's like a gypsy folk jazz kind of violin melody with this blast, like driving blast beat, or I guess that's not a blast beat there, but yeah, so that's really cool. The other last thing I want to say about this is, man, this must have been hard to make. Like, I like just having recorded a little bit, it's hard enough to just record like guitars and drums and bass and vocals. Like, imagine what you have to do from an engineering perspective, from a mixing perspective, to have these enormous changes of sound world, and to make everything fit just like sonically, and not to mention the initial composition process. So it's like bands like these, it blows my mind. Yeah, I think it's so cool how much effort has to go into these just to like just to make them happen and have the result be so cool, and relatively polished sounding and everything. Yeah, huge fan. I need to listen to this some more again, bring it back into rotation. Cool. So last one is this one from where this wasn't formally requested, but this was mentioned in passing a while ago, and it's this absolutely wild. I was talking to this guy Linus Abrahamson, and I had a cool conversation with him about notation software and stuff that I'm still working on, editing into some video or something. But he mentioned this section from this band that he plays in, which is absolutely wild. So let's listen to it from a tempo rhythm perspective. Let's listen to it and see what's going on. Starting around here. Man. Yeah, so basically what's happening, we have these two attacks that bum, bum, but what's changing is both the ratio of time between, or the ratio of time between them, and the metric context that the drums are providing. So when we first get there, this is this 5/8 kind of thing. 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3. So that's this. And then it shifts to, let me just it shifts so that they're evenly spaced. Let me see which one it uses as the pivot. not sure. I'm not sure like how they're getting from there to there. But basically, I mean, like if you picture something, and maybe I'll make a diagram even for this. You have something that's 2 plus 3. It's a kind of small shift to make it so that they're even, right? So I think that's what's happening. I think this like larger span is staying the same. So from here to here, and then in the middle, instead of having it be over here, kind of more to one side, it's shifting to be in the middle. So it's instead of ba ba da ba da ba da ba da ba da, it's ba 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 or boom 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 boom. Wait, what is it? Yeah, so that now it's bum bounce, bum bounce. So now it's like 2 plus 4. So instead of 2 plus 3, I think that's what it is actually. So the two are evenly spaced now, and then there's an extra beat after. So it goes from 2 plus 3 to 2 plus 4. And then it changes again. So now I think now it's 3 plus 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then it changes again. And then it changes again. That's so sneaky. That's what it's doing. So now so it went from 2 plus 3 to 2 plus 4 to 3 plus 4, and now it's 3 plus 6. I'm pretty sure. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, And I would guess, like, once you find a pattern like this, it's probably, that's how it's going. So I'd guess it keeps expanding a little bit at a time like that, like adding 1/16th note on each side. So that what's that intermediate one? That one's 4+7 now. I'm going to do all this in notation software in just one sec. So it goes from 3+6 to 4+7. Wait. Oh, not quite. I thought there was a pattern where it was like 2+3, and then you just add 1 to each side, but it's not quite that, I don't think. Yeah, and I'm not fully sure what it also, like, as they get longer, it's harder to keep up to find the tick marks, and because the drums are kind of reorienting to just like hear boom, 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 to just like treat that as the new tempo. So these are kind of tempo modulations. They're kind of this pulse preserving tactus modulation thing that I talked about that Car Bomb does. And they're kind of something else too, because you're kind of just like shifting these things around by 1/16th note, but it completely changes what you feel as the tempo. So real quick, let's just do this here. Make a line here. So these first ones are definitely 5/8. So these are, well, yeah, I'll do this. Maybe it would make more sense to call this 5/16, but, so ba, ba, and then, after a little bit, it switches to, this. So this is, 2 + 3, 2 + 4, right? And then next one is 3 + 4, 3 + 4, and then the next one is the really weird one, right? It's, well, maybe I'll just write this as a, this, so it's not dotted. That we get to use double dotted half notes. That's fun. And then the after that, I'm not super sure. So then 4 + 7. Yeah, so we're just like kind of bumping out the meter here, and the drums are doing all sorts of crazy stuff. This one's definitely one that I'm gonna have to really sit down and transcribe. This is prime example for my prime example of the type of thing that I want to talk about in my dissertation, where it poses all these problems for notation too. Because, like, do you notate these as tempo modulations, because that kind of hides the underlying steady eighth note, or do you just keep the eighth note, but that kind of hides what the beat feels like actually? Yeah, so I hope I'm able to edit this into something interesting. Thank you so much to my patrons for being patrons and for submitting riffs, and also, of course, mainly I just appreciate everyone for being so supportive of this channel. I had no idea it would have this type of support. So yeah, thank you all. I'll see you next week with another one of the normal scripted videos. But this was fun. See ya.